So welcome everyone again. I totally forgot to introduce myself, but it is a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Ariana Rios, and I am an academic advisor at Inner City Struggle. And today, I'm very excited to let you guys know that we will be talking about financial aid during this presentation. And just a warning, we are going to be recording the session. So please to keep that in mind as we go through the presentation. So like I said, I'm from Inner City Struggle, and that is someone who is bringing the presentation to you guys, but also Local District East is collaborating with us to bring this to you all today. So I can pass it to Dr. Gettinger or Ms. Sanchez if they would like to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about Boyle Heights.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Gettinger. I'm the Community of School Administrator with the Boyle Heights Community of Schools. So glad to see many of our students and families here today, as well as those from outside our community of schools. We know that college access isn't just something we're focused on here at Boyle Heights, but throughout Los Angeles Unified School District. So it's so exciting that you're all here to get some help in terms of understanding the financial aid and FAFSA process. And we appreciate our partnership, as always, with Inner City Struggle in bringing this workshop to you. So thank you all. And if there's anything you ever need, don't hesitate to reach out to our office. We're here to help.
Thank you so much. So just a little bit about Inner City Struggle. I'm so happy about this collaboration, but a little bit about us. Our mission is to build a powerful and an influential movement of youth and families on the east side of Los Angeles to promote healthy, safe, and nonviolent communities. The east side is comprised of many communities that you guys are a part of or that you know of: Boyle Heights, unincorporated East Los, El Sereno, Lincoln Heights. And I just want to take the opportunity to drop our handles, so our Instagram at Inner City Struggle. If you guys want to hear about more events like this or things that are going on in the community, please follow us or visit our website to learn more about us and our work. So let's get into it. So before we kind of go into how do we fill out financial aid applications, it's important to go over what financial aid is actually. So as it says on the slide, financial aid consists of funds provided to students and your families to pay for post-secondary educational expenses. So this isn't just if you're attending a four-year university, if you're attending community college, trade school, other post-second, if it has to do, with surrounding education, financial aid is there to support you to help pay for that. So things that fall under that are grants, work, study, loans, and scholarships, and they help make college or career school affordable. And in some cases, they can help you pay for the entirety of your post-secondary plans. So important to note, we should all be applying to financial aid this fall. So why is it important? I kind of got into that a little bit. You know, it helps you pay for your college. And so, it doesn't just provide like money for books and things that you're going to need. At times you have money left over that you can use. And this is all money coming from your schools. And so students attending any type of higher ed should fill this out every single year. Even if you're thinking, oh, I'm only going to be offered loans, I'm not sure what my family's income status is, and I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, it doesn't matter. You should be applying, because oftentimes the loans that are offered by the government are much lower in interest rates than private loans. So again, an important distinction between private loans and the loans that you're going to be getting from financial aid are from the government. And lastly, why is filling out FAFSA or the California Dream Act so important? It's because you can't pay universities in gum. So, I'm sure a lot of us have, well, some of us have gum lying around, and it would be nice, right, if you could pay using that, but there's no way. We need to start thinking about concrete ways in how we're going to pay for college with money. Okay, so just a reminder that, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. So just a reminder, you're filling out the FAFSA or the DREAM Act every single year, and the earlier the better. Not only do you just get it over with, your applications are going to be reviewed sooner because you're submitting it faster. So the deadline for this year is March 2nd. And I know you guys are probably like, Ariana, it is October 19th. But like I said, it doesn't matter. You should be submitting these applications as soon as possible. So yes, I hope you guys enjoy our little meme if you guys are Office fans. Um, yeah, so I want you guys to take this opportunity to look at the information that is needed to fill out these two different forms. So if you have a social security number, you should have that. If you know your parents had federal tax information or their tax returns, that should be information that you have, records of untaxed income and investments, Schedule A. So again, if you don't know what some of these are, then that probably means you don't have to worry, but I would definitely double check with your guardians or whoever's information you're going to be providing for these applications. So these are the two different applications that we're going to go over today. So on the left, you have the FAFSA, and I always forget what the acronym stands for, but it's the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And there's the website there. If someone wants to link it in the chat, that would be super helpful. And on the right side, you can see it's the California DREAM Act. This is for undocumented students or other alternative students who cannot apply through the FAFSA. So again, important to know that those links in the chat or these websites themselves, you guys should click these because again, these are the only websites where you should be submitting your information, making sure that you're not getting scammed or your information isn't going into the wrong hands. Alrighty, so I'm going to invite you guys, if you guys want, take a little bit of time to share your screen or to split your screen and log into the FAFSA. This is while we're going to be going over this information and we're not going to be pausing and kind of waiting for you guys to get it done. What I do want you guys to know is that if you want to have another screen open with either the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act open as well as this presentation, that would be, if that's beneficial to you, I would recommend doing that. But also this meeting is going to be recorded, so it's okay if you feel like you're just trying to take in information right now and take notes. So I'm going to go over quickly what the login process is like. So if you are filling out the FAFSA for the first time, you click enter on the student information. And making sure that it's your full name that shows up on your social security card. So for example, we have here Betty Ramirez Ortiz. So, the hyphens, whatever it is officially on the social should be going on this application. Your date of birth, your social security number. And once you access the application, you can create your own FAFSA ID. So again, this little piece right here where it says enter students information, that's where you would go for the first time. And once you access, you're going to create that FAFSA ID, which is here on the left. And so make sure you write down and you remember the FAFSA ID because you're going to be using it every single time you fill out the FAFSA. And trust me, it's a pain if you lose it and you can't remember. It's a whole process. So yes, making sure that you write down that FAFSA ID. And if you're a returning student, you have filled out this application before, then go ahead and enter your information on the left. All right, so again, this is kind of just what the federal student age page looks like. So if it doesn't look like this, again, it's not the page. Alrighty, so when it comes to the DREAM Act, this is what the login page is gonna look like. The first question, do you have a social security number? Yes or no? And then and then it's going to ask you, do you meet the eligibility criteria below? And so this is really important to know. I know the font is a little small here, but making sure that you can either screenshot this or I'm going to go through a few of them, but you need to be eligible for these certain things. So for example, it says satisfaction of either the following: high school attendance in California for 3 or more years, or attainment of credits earned in California from a California high school equivalent to 3 or more years. And so, this eligible, it's kind of a lot to go through, but making sure that you read through this carefully. So number 2 says graduated or will graduate from a California high school or attainment of general education development, the high school equivalency test or test assessing secondary completion. And so again, there's a lot of ors, and so pay attention to these ors. So even if you don't have one but you have the other, you're good to go. And so again, I'm going to just go through these last few. Register, enroll in an accredited or qualifying California college or university, and if applicable, completed an affidavit to legalize immigration status as soon as you're eligible. So again, it's unfortunate that our undocumented family has to go through, I feel like, a lot more hoops, but this is super important for you guys. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Somebody will be answering them. I'm going to pass it off to Beatriz, and I will be answering questions in the chat.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So yeah, really glad again to have you all here. My name is Beatriz. Pronouns she, her, hers. I am the academic coordinator with Inner City Struggle. Before I continue on, I want to see if Michelle or if Ms. Sanchez want to say any words before we continue the presentation.
Hello, all our LAUSD students. I know we have many from Boyle Heights and others from other high schools. We're glad you're here. You're at the right place because you want to know in terms of completing the FAFSA or the DREAM Act and ensuring that you have the opportunities available to you. So please ask questions and we will answer them. And this will be available on our Facebook and Instagram as well as Inner City Struggle. So thank you once again.
Okay, great. So thank you all. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat box or private message either Daniela, Ariana, or Christian or myself, and we'll be happy to answer those questions just in case if you're a little shy to ask to the whole group. But yeah, so within the application process for both the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act, you will find these kind of selection tabs. So login, student demographics, school selections, dependency status, parent demographics, financial information, sign in and submit, and then your confirmation. So we'll go into the brief, like main questions that come up that are very confusing in these tabs. So for the demographics section, you'll be asked very basic questions around like, are you a US citizen? Where do you live? Where all these information, make sure you're writing them as accurate as possible. Make sure that you're doing it correctly. For your education, when it asks, what is your degree that you're going to go towards, make sure you mark this is your first bachelor's degree, so they can know that this is your first one. You're going to be an undergrad student. You've never been to college. So that is where you're going to be writing. For this particular portion of the question, if you want work study, this is only for the financial aid application, so only FAFSA is going to ask this question. The federal work study provides part-time jobs for students with financial need, allowing them to earn money to help pay education expenses. So you should mark yes on that tab saying, yes, I want work study. Even if right now you're like, oh, I don't even want to work the first year that I'm in college, that's fine. You should just still say yes so you can get that money in. I do see questions coming up, and I did see one in particular around like, if my parents make too much money, should I still sign up? You should still sign up. You should still apply to try to get, because you never know, maybe the school themselves will give you a grant, maybe the state will give you a grant, maybe they'll offer you loans that are going to be available by the government. As mentioned, they're going to have a lower interest rates than actual private loans. So make sure that you're applying regardless of your parents' financial status, or even if you feel like you won't qualify. Okay, next page, please. For the financial aid, for the FAFSA, males must register. So if you are going to be 18, you're a male, you will have to register for the selective services. So this page will pop up. If you're in the FAFSA page, it'll say, are you male or female? You would mark it. Are you registered for the selective services? If you haven't, you would mark no. And then they'll ask you, do you want to register? You would have to say yes. So unfortunately, right now, males that are going to be that are 18 have to register. So just allow them to register you through the FAFSA right away, because otherwise you won't be able to access the FAFSA. Going on, you would have a school selections portion. So this will go for both the FAFSA and the California Dream Act application. You can either look for the schools that you're planning to attend by entering the state, then searching by the city, or you can search it by your school name. If you have the 6-digit school code that's from that particular school, you can enter that as well. You can select schools and click add. So you would look them up, make sure you put a check mark as you see in the left-hand side, and then you'll add them to the selection of schools. You can only choose up to 10 schools in this particular section. So let's say that I am guessing right now, if I'm going to start applying right now to my FAFSA or my California Dream Act, I choose 10 schools that I'm just like, I might consider applying them this upcoming year. But let's say by November 30th, I submitted all my campuses and those are not the ones that I applied to on my FAFSA. Then I can go back to my FAFSA, edit it, and add the other schools that I did not add into it and make changes. So don't worry if right now you're like, I'm going to apply, but I don't know if I'm going to apply to these. That's fine. Just go back. If also, let's say you apply to more than 10 campuses, that's okay. Even though it's only giving you options for 10 schools, what you can do is submit. Then if you're going to have more schools, come back, edit it, add the other schools, and then resubmit it. And that'll give all your campuses all the information that you need for financial aid, so they can give you your financial aid offer when the time comes. In another section, you will see dependency. So what does that mean? That means, am I an independent student or am I a dependent student? So how do I determine what I am? You would be considered an independent student if you were born before January 1st, 1997, a veteran, are in active duty military, are married, have children under dependents, both parents are deceased, you have been in foster care past age 13, you're a dependent or a ward of court past age 13, you have legal guardianship, emancipated minor, homeless or at risk of homelessness, or a graduate student. So those would qualify you as an independent student. If you are dependent, that means that you would need to have your parental information. So that means you need to have your parents' tax returns, as mentioned earlier, of what documents you need to have. So just make sure that you're listing this as of the date of. So if, let's say, next year I'm currently a senior and next year I'm going to be getting married. We're talking about this year. What am I doing right now? So if I'm not married, okay, then I would put not married. I would be dependent. So right before we start digging into like really deeper information, because again, I know FAFSA, California Dream Act can have a lot of information, a lot of things that we're just like, am I doing it right? Don't worry. I know I've been there before. We've all been there before. It can be very hectic, especially we don't have someone that can support us in this process. So we're going to answer as many questions as possible, but we'll take a little break right now, just to, hopefully you're getting all the information. If questions come up right now, you can feel free to ask us. We'll stay logged in. But let's say we'll do a 5-minute break, and then we can come back at 5 p.m. We can get started again. There was a question around AB 540 and the California Dream Act eligibility. So basically, if you are going to be graduating from a California high school, you have been in the campus for 3 years, 3+ years. If you are, yeah, those would be like the main ones as for you to qualify for AB 540 or California, sorry, for the California Dream Act, for you to apply to it. You can also say if you were going to a college, sorry, community college, you went to adult school and are graduating from there as well, you would qualify for that status in order for you to qualify for a in-state tuition. I don't know if Daniela, if you wanted to add anything else to that.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions around if you're undocumented and being able to access in-state tuition or being able to access financial aid, but we want to make sure that folks know that it is available. There are some eligibility requirements, which are what Bethany shared, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us. We just want to make sure that folks know that you can apply, and this should not be a barrier for you to access money for school.
Yes, so if you are undocumented, there is money available, and you would be able to qualify for in-state tuition in the state of California. So continuing on to the application process. So there will be a portion where there is a parent information portion to it. So this will be what you can answer about your parents. So you need to have your parents' information. So hopefully you know what's the highest level of education that they have in the United States, where they have worked. Hopefully you know up to 2 of their past jobs in the last 10, 15 years. Tax information, you would need that. You would need to have the tax returns, as mentioned. That's one of the most important documents in order for you to fill out this information. The income tax should be from the year 2020. So that's the one that we're looking for. So if your parents for some reason have not applied to the tax returns for 2020, then make sure that your parents do it ASAP or figure something out. If your parents don't ever do taxes, we can discuss further into it, but you can continue filling it out regardless that you don't have the tax returns. Just the school will probably outreach to you to say, hey, we want to clarify some questions, see where you're getting income. And I see a hand raise.
Can we ask the interpreter to do the instructions again? There's folks that are wondering if we have interpretation.
Yes, Kathleen, if you can.
Kathleen, are you?
She won't be able to speak in the English side because she's already in the Spanish side.
Got it.
So, si desean escuchar la presentación en español, haga clic en el símbolo de abajo que se aparece como un globo. Cuando selecciona el globo, le va a preguntar que quiere interpretación en español, y luego va a escuchar el audio en español.
Okay, hopefully everyone figured out how to do the language. So continuing on, if you are in foster care or are you an emancipated minor, you would put independent and won't provide parental information. If you live in a single parent household, then only add them. So if you have only known one parent, if only one parent provides for you, then that's the only parent that you need to provide information. You can state that your other parent, you have no information in regards to. So the question would be, I would provide parental information. I am unable to provide parental information. So what does a parent mean according to financial aid or the California Dream Act? A legal parent is your biological parent, an adopted parent, a person the state has determined to be a student's parent. So if you have gone to court, if there's some sort of form that says this is legally your parent, then that would be your legal parent that you would fill out information on. What would not be considered a legal parent? A grandparent, a foster parent, a legal guardian, an older sibling, an aunt or uncle. So let's say even though these are folks that we see as our parents that have been taking care of us, if legally there's not a form saying they are our parents, that they are, you know, that we're being dependents of them, then we can't mark them down as our being our legal parents in the documents. So how do I determine my parents? So obviously there's a lot of situations. We have a lot of different family dynamics. It's okay. I'm going to try to be as, you know, try to say as many as I can. I know from the top of my head. If your parents are legally separated or divorced, list the parent you lived with the most during the last 12 months. If you lived with both parents equally, list the parent who provided the most financial support in the last 12 months. If you have divorced parents and they're remarried, list the parent and step parent that you're living with the most. If your parents are unmarried but living together, then list the information for both parents. If your parents are legally married but not living together, list the information for parent you spend most time with, and it will be seen as parents are separated. So if you have certain circumstances about your parents, hopefully this can make sense as how you're going to be writing it down. Again, if you only know one parent, you're like, for example, myself, I grew up in a single parent household, so only my mom raised me. So I would only provide information for my mom. So going into determining households, including in a household, it'll be the student's parents listed on the FAFSA or the California Dream Act, other children supported by parents, other parents supported by parents. So this will be an example. Let's say if it's me, right? If let's say I was a senior right now, I live with my brother. My mom is the only one that takes care of me. And I live with one of my grandparents, but my grandparents, they take care of themselves. They're financially on their own. Then my household would be 3. It'll be my mom, myself, and my brother. So I would mark it as being 3, right? If, let's say, the situation changes in that point where my grandpa is under the dependency of my mom and my mom's financially providing for them, taking care of them, then it'll be a household of 4. So it'll be my mom, my brother, myself, and my grandpa. So as you see that the circumstances change, so make sure that you know where the dependency is and making sure that you write the accurate number of it. And even also, let's say if I have a sibling that's in college right now, but they're still being dependents of my parent, then I still need to write them as part of my household because legally my parents are still paying for them.
All right, folks, hello. So now these are the forms, pretty much. This is where we get the income information. So we need to put income information for both the FAFSA and the DREAM Act. So if our parents do their taxes, they're gonna get the one on the left. That's just their tax return. That's just what they get. The 1040 U.S. individual income tax return. They can also ask for their tax return transcript. And these will both have all the information that is needed for you to complete the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act. The account transcript, that will not have all the right information. So if your parents are asking, or like they're going to request for their return transcript, or if they can't find their individual income tax return, make sure you don't get the account transcript. That's not going to work. We need the tax return transcript or the 1040 U.S. individual income tax return. This part is for the FAFSA. Unfortunately, the DREAM Act doesn't have it. So this is the IRS retrieval tool. So the IRS, that's who we turn in our taxes to, the Internal Revenue Service. So sometimes when we're filling out the FAFSA, we have an option of using the IRS retrieval tool. So pretty much that will say that like, hey, instead of you having to put in all this information, like, you know, every single number, just give us like your mom's or your parent or your, you know, your mom, dad, or your parents' information, and we will link it to the IRS and we'll get the information for you. So that way they know that it's like, it's all correct, because they just kind of put all the information in by themselves. So pretty much they'll tell you if you're eligible. Like you can't like say like, oh, I want to do it. You know, you can't just say I want to do it. If you're eligible, it'll pop up for you and it'll be an option. If it doesn't pop up, then unfortunately you're just not eligible, and you could just put it in. But there's no worries if you have to put it in manually. We'll show you how to do that right now also. So yeah, just going to save you time, and all the information is going to be accurate, you know. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is what the tool looks like. You just want to make sure that you're putting the information correctly. That way it's all transferred accurately. So you want to make sure it's like, you know, it's like actually your mom's, or like your mom's information or your dad's information. You know, sometimes there'll be people with the same name or this, you know, or something like that. You just want to really make sure that it's your parents' information. And then once you are confirmed that, yeah, okay, yeah, this is my parents' information, this is all of them, then you can be like, okay, yes, transfer my tax information into the FAFSA form. So you have to check off that little box that's in the bottom. All you need to do is check off that box, and then you will be able to transfer all the information. So if it's okay, if you're not able to transfer it, like these are just some of the questions that you will be asked for both the FAFSA and the DREAM Act. So it's gonna ask like if your parents were like married, together, separate, and that's why, you know, that's what Beatriz just went over. Then it's gonna ask for like your parents, how much money they made, their adjusted gross income. And what the, like, you know, it could sound like it could get pretty hard, but it's actually not, because there's a lot of helpful hints. There's help and hints that like are on the side all throughout the applications, and they do their best to make it very simple. So as we can see, it says it's like line 37 if it's the IRS form 1080. So if it's the 1040, you're like, okay, this is the, yeah, I have the IRS 1040 in front of me. Then you just go ahead and look at line 37. Maybe you have 1040A. So you look at line 21, or maybe you'll have 1040 EZ, so you look at line 4. You pretty much just look at the paper that you have in front of you, your parents' information, whatever form it is, if it's the IRS 1040 or the tax return transcript, you just have that with you, and then you plug in the information there. So it's gonna ask like if they're a dislocated worker, if they were eligible to do the IRS, and then it's gonna ask for the exemptions. So we talked about the exemptions also. So you make sure you include yourself and anybody else who your family is looking over for the exemptions. Next slide, please. And then we have to sign them. So when we do our signatures, if your parent has a social security number, then they will need to create an FSA ID. It's like a federal student aid ID, just so they can sign and say like, yeah, all this information is correct. And if they don't have a social security number, that's okay. All you need to do is print out a paper and they'll sign it, and then you just mail that in. So no worries if your parent has a social security or not, because either way, there's a way for you to complete your FAFSA and your DREAM Act. So maybe you have siblings that are older than you and they already went to school. They would have the PIN for your parents. Like say your parents have a social security number and your older brother or sister or anybody in your family already did FAFSA, then you would just ask them for the PIN. It's a 4-digit PIN, and then yeah, you just get that from them. For the DREAM Act, there's also a signature portion. It gives you, you need to make sure to sign it. For both of them, they're not complete unless you sign them. Like you can put all the information, but if you don't sign them, then they're not fully submitted. So please make sure to submit them. It'll give you a California DREAM Act ID number. So just hold on to that, write that down. We recommend writing everything down, like maybe like notes on your phone, just like notes on your phone. You can put it in a Google Doc with a bunch of important information. You can write it down in a notebook or an important file that you're not going to lose. But you're going to need your Dream Act ID. You're going to need your FAFSA ID. Either or. You're going to need to remember your PIN or your parents' PIN. So just write all that stuff down so you don't have to worry about just, keeping it, remembering it in your head. That way you can always know like where to access it and have that information easily. One very important thing, what happens if we accidentally lose it? Then just reading then you can message them. So pretty much like Daniela shared earlier in the chat, like how to contact them. Yeah, so you can just go ahead and contact them. There's an email that you can send. There's emails you can send. There's numbers that you can call during like regular business hours, like 9 a.m. to like 4 p.m. And just give them all the information about yourself that you can, like name, address, and stuff like that. That way they can help find your ID, and then they'll go ahead and send it to you. But yeah, that's why we just write them down before that. Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, just something that's really important, folks. Please do not forget to do this. If you're doing the Dream Act, you need to fill out this form for the schools that you're attending. So maybe you applied. So this is the California non-resident tuition exemption request. So unfortunately, like folks that are not from California or have to pay a different price. Like say, like for the Cal States, it's close to like 20,000 if you're not from California. But if you get in-state tuition, then it's like only like 6,000. And then this is obviously before financial aid. You're not with financial aid, you don't even have to worry about these. Pretty much it lowers the cost a lot. So even if you live in California, but you're technically a non-resident, then you just please fill out this form, sign it, and then fill it out and send it to the schools that you are attending. And this will allow you to pay in-state tuition in California. It lowers the cost so much. So this is a very important form. Yes. How do I correct my FAFSA? So to make corrections to your FAFSA, you click the login button on the home page and log into FAFSA on the web, and then click make FAFSA corrections. So that's why it's important that we keep our FAFSA information, we keep our PIN. That way we have all this information easily accessible. If you want to log back in, you could change schools. Maybe you're like, you know what, I'm not going to apply to this school. I'm going to apply to these schools instead. You can change your email or mailing address, like if you moved or like, just random tip, please use a personal email, like a Gmail, a Yahoo or something. Do not use your school email when applying for FAFSA, when applying for colleges. You need to make a personal, professional email. Sometimes we have them when we're really young and we put a little bit of a funny name, nothing wrong with that, but maybe, like maybe create a new one, like just your name or something like that. That's very professional that you can use when you're applying to schools and when you're applying for the FAFSA, because you definitely always want to have access to that. What we've seen in the past is sometimes emails that go to the LAUSD emails, like they don't all go through, like they'll get stuck in your spam or something. So make sure you use a personal email. And then you can correct any field in your FAFSA other than the social security number. So if you had made any other errors about how much money your parents make, about how many dependents you have, maybe you didn't count somebody as a dependent, but like you didn't count your grandparent as a dependent, but like your parents, they do support them a lot, so they actually are a dependent. So then you need to like go ahead and add them. So that's how you log back in to make any changes to the FAFSA. And it's very similar to the Dream Act. You just go ahead and log back in, put your login information that you have when you created it for the first time, and you'll be able to make your changes. What's next is that you receive a copy of your student aid report, which pretty much, it just summarizes all the information that you have on your FAFSA. So you just look at it and you make sure like this is correct, this is accurate. Because with FAFSA, you really want to make sure everything is correct and right, because we don't want any delays. You want to turn in your FAFSA as soon as possible. So that way, when you apply to schools and you're accepted to schools, they can send you your award. It's called like your financial aid award. And it's pretty much saying like, oh, this is how much money we're going to offer you to come here. Like, this is how much money we'll give you for free. This is how much money we'll give you in loans. So the earlier you have all that information, it's easier to make decisions about where you want to go to college. So, you know, you just like, and if you say you didn't turn in your FAFSA, or you had stuff like really late, or you had stuff that was incorrect, and you have to like make changes, then you won't know how much money you're going to get until it's very late. And you want to know how much money schools are offering you as soon as possible, so you can, you know, make the best possible decision for yourself and for your family. Your SAR, your student aid report will include your expected family contribution. The expected family contribution determines your eligibility for a federal Pell Grant, and the colleges use this to assess your eligibility for other federal and non-federal student aid. So federal just means that this is like, you know, from the nation, from the country, not from California specifically. So the nation, you know, United States, they look at your EFC, which is they pretty much they're guessing how much they think your family will be able to help you pay for college. So if you have like, you know, like 0 is obviously the lowest one you have. Like if you have a 0, you'll get more aid. If your expected family contribution is a little bit bigger, they might offer you less aid because they think, oh, you know what, I think your family can help you with a little bit of it. Yeah. And so once your FAFSA is processed by the federal student aid, your student aid report is sent to colleges that you listed on your FAFSA. So that's why you list your schools on your FAFSA, and then they get them directly from the government, from the national government. And then, yeah, and then you just kind of sit back, wait, you check your school portals to see if you need to turn in any other forms, and then you just wait for your awards, your financial aid awards, so you can go over your financial aid awards. And don't worry, because we host financial aid award reviews sessions later on. So like next semester, you know, maybe like March and April, we'll be hosting workshops to help students read your financial aid award and see like, okay, they're giving me this much money in loans, this much money in free money. So we'll help you out with that in the future later on too. So make sure you follow us on social media and stick around with us. And then just to share some more tips, fill out your application early every single year. Like, as we said, even as you're a college student, you still do it. And you still, you know, you don't want to be waiting for your financial aid and you don't have to like pay a semester or a quarter out of pocket because your money didn't get there in time. Or maybe you even have to take a semester or a quarter off if you don't have the money to pay for that if you don't have money to pay for that semester. So definitely fill it out early every year. Encourage your parents to do their taxes early on. Yeah, it used to be super more important because like we would use last year's taxes. Now we use like taxes from 2 years ago. But yeah, it's still good for your families to do their taxes early on. But as we're talking about that, because we use taxes from like 2 years ago, sometimes what happens is like, you know, maybe our family was doing great 2 years ago, mom had a great job. So they think that your expected family contribution, it might be pretty high. They're like, oh, you know, their parents are making a lot of money. But you know, maybe unfortunately they were laid off or they got sick or something. So your financials changed a lot during this last year. It's very important that you reach out to your schools and say, hey, like what's on my FAFSA, like what's on like a 2020, like that's not the reality anymore. Like my family is struggling, or we're getting a lot less money. Like they will not be able to help me with my college expenses. And that's a very important to do as soon as possible. So that way they could change your award. And they're like, oh, actually, your family can help you. Your expected family contribution is instead of 6,000, it's 0 now. And so they're like, okay, so let's give you more money. Let's offer you more loans. Let's give you more free money because your situation changed. So yeah, don't worry if you feel like if you're in that situation and, you know, unfortunately, like your financial situation changed, you can still message the schools and let them know that. They may ask for like some sort of proof, most likely not. But yeah, either way, you can still let them know about the situation and they will assist you with that. And then just use the same PIN for yourself and your parent. That way it's just less numbers to write down. It's nothing like, oh no, you have to keep them separate. Like that's totally fine to use the same PIN. It just makes things easier for you, your parents, your siblings, your younger siblings later on when you share with them the PIN. Because, you know, later on, you know, they're going to be following in your footsteps, following the example that y'all are setting for them. And then if you plan on attending an out-of-state college, you still need to fill out the FAFSA. and the CSS profile. So the FAFSA, like we've been talking about, is federal. So you can still get FAFSA money if you're going to, you know, Middlebury College in Vermont or Kalamazoo or, you know, wherever you want to go. You still will get FAFSA money. So still fill out your FAFSA. And then the CSS profile, that is for private schools. But a little off topic, private schools, they offer a lot of aid, y'all. They can sound expensive, but a lot of times they offer so much financial aid that it ends up, you end up getting it all paid for, or you can even get paid a little bit to go to school. So consider private schools also. But just to let you know that, yeah, you still need to fill out your FAFSA and your CSS profile, especially if you're doing out-of-state schools. And folks, that does bring us to the end of the presentation. Now we're gonna drop in the chat our bit.ly form for feedback. So if you could please give us some feedback.
6:30 it isn't?
Oh, excuse me? Okay.
Oh, I think she said it's not 6:30 because it would said till 6:30, but I think we're ending quite early, which is a good thing.
Yes, and we'll have some time because we are ending a little bit earlier. We have some time for questions and then also our feedback form. And the rest of the time will be for you all to enjoy. So I'll pass it back to Christian.
Yes, thank you, folks. Yeah, like I said, well, please continue dropping your questions in the chat. But yeah, we want to know with the feedback. We want to know if there's something we can add next time to make it. You know, if there's something that y'all think was missing today or something that was really helpful today, we would really appreciate the feedback. And then filling out the feedback form, that is also how we get your email. And, you know, obviously using your email, we're going to share the slides, a recording of the presentation. So that way, when you're filling out your own FAFSA or your own DREAM Act, you could have this open and be like, okay, for this question, they said just to do this, or, oh, like this is how I figure out my dependency status or who I'm living with. Yeah, so that, you know, you can use these tools later on in the future. So we're going to give some time right now for folks to do the feedback form.
As Christian was saying, we are going to have a portion of questions. So I know we're ending a little bit earlier. It'll give us an opportunity for you all to ask your individual questions that you may have. I know I'm already getting messages of like different circumstances, so I'll stay on so we can like look at those circumstances and see how best answer and continue submitting that application process. This particular presentation was around how to complete the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act. As mentioned, we will have a presentation hopefully in the next year, early on in the semester, either January or February, where we'll focus more on like, how do we read your financial aid offer? So how do we make sure that your college is the most affordable college that you can attend, if that's one of the main things, right? And as mentioned, as said throughout the presentation, regardless of what your circumstance are, you should be applying to financial aid. And I'm talking to our seniors, our students who are going for the first time to either a trade school, any type of higher education. Make sure that you're applying to financial aid. If you are already in college and you're going to continue, this is only your first year in college, second year, third year, you're in college, make sure that you are applying again for the financial aid or the California DREAM Act. So every year you should be apply as early as possible. The application opened up on October 1st. So y'all, for being here, you're getting started really early on, which is great. Submitted by hopefully by this week if you can, right? Like make sure that you're doing it early as possible, because even there is grants available that are kind of like on a first come first served basis. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing onto as much money that's free out there for you.
I think there's a question. March 2nd is the deadline. A reminder again, I think Beatrice had mentioned it, or Daniela. No, don't use your MyMail LAUSD email. If you don't have an email account, create one through Gmail or through somewhere else, but please do not use your MyMail LAUSD email to create your profile. Was there any questions in the chat that maybe some of our colleagues picked up that maybe, kept coming up, maybe that we want to review?
Yes, there was a question. So a student is
There
filling
was a
out the,
chat around,
I'll go. Okay, so there's a question. The student is filling out the FAFSA, and they get the error message that the amount of taxes the parent paid is very high compared to his or her adjusted gross income. And they put in their mother's income, but she never received or filed a Schedule 1.
it's likely that you inputted something wrong. The FAFSA sometimes has like error messages so that you are not submitting something that is incorrect. So it's likely that you're putting in the wrong line. So make sure that when you're reading the FAFSA that you can check on the question mark to see which line you should be looking at. Because that's probably why it's not matching up. And if you can, again, use the IRS retrieval tool, which will automatically upload all the information straight from the taxes. So then it eliminates any possible errors. But if there's any like situation where you're like, I can't figure it out, like, and you need additional help, the FAFSA hotline will answer questions. And the earlier you do it, the less amount of time you have to wait, because sometimes as you get closer to March 2nd, their hotline is always busy. So try doing it earlier.
And I think there was a question, where do they go for the FAFSA? What is the website? And I think it was just put in. So you're able to go ahead, copy and paste or click on it and then bookmark it on your device or your computer. The recording, I know that it will be posted on the Boyle Heights Instagram and Facebook. And then also if you place your email on here, Inner City Struggle will be emailing it to you as well. And also I think they're going to be adding you to a newsletter as well. So please place your email in the chat so you could be added to the newsletter and also be sent the recording. And also don't leave us because there will be a raffle and there will be a winner.
What a wonderful transition. Let me bring up this wheel. Okay, the names did not stay, so I'm gonna pass it off to Christian to take over our raffle portion.
And I think as they're doing that, for all the students and families that are with us today, can you please also let us know if you, how did you hear about today? So whether if it was a flyer through the Boyle Heights COS social media or through Inner City Struggle social media or through your school, like how did you hear about this? Because we want to try and have more college and career awareness and FAFSA workshops for students. And we want to ensure that it gets to you. So let us know what's the best way. We also do the calls, the Blackboard Connect calls. So let me know what works best for you so that we're able to ensure that you receive any future workshops that we have.
I'm having some technical difficulties, Ariana. I just shared with you a document with all the names that you could just copy and paste into the, I don't know, Zoom is not letting me share my screen. I think it's, yeah.
Okay, no problem. Folks can keep typing in questions in the chat.
Yeah, I think there was a question from a parent saying that that she's a parent, does she fill it out?
Yes, please.
You want to go ahead and answer in terms?
fill out the survey or the application?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm not sure what she's. Let me respond. So so if you're the parent saying, if you want to fill out the survey, yes, you are able to fill out the survey. If it's the FAFSA, it's information about you is being inputted into the FAFSA. So hopefully that clears it up.
And the most helpful is to have the student and the parent or the guardian available at the same time, and working on the application, because it's asking information for both the parent and the student. So that's works the most. It's most helpful, right? Because then the parent can go and get the information that's needed. And if they are able to input the information directly on the computer, then they can do that on behalf of the student. But it will be one application that is being submitted with both of their information.
Okay, so I think they're getting the names together.
Alrighty, I think we're ready. So I'm gonna share my screen, get excited. If you don't see your name here, let me know before I spin so I can add you.
And if you're like joined as like iPhone or like Galaxy or something like that, you'll be on here like that. And there's 3 raffles, so stick around, folks.
See, there's a chat. Alrighty, cool. Let's spin it. Here we go for the first time.
This is for a $25 gift card. Shout out to Adrian. Adrian, are you still here with us?
Yeah.
Boom, congratulations, $25 gift card. Just please, just give us your email one more time, please. If you could drop it right here in the chat, just so we can email that to you. Thank you. Can we ensure that Leticia Villegas was on there, please? If you added it came a little bit later, you might not be on there. Oh yeah, if we can add Leticia, please.
Okay.
Anybody else? Last chance. Ricardo Morales.
And then Karina Mazariego. Cady Gutierrez.
I believe Wendy Rojas also.
What was that last one? Or there was another one I think I missed.
Karina Mazariego, Cady Gutierrez.
Okay, Patty.
Anybody else not see their name? Kelly,
Kelly
you're on there.
Ortega.
You're the first one. Kelly, you're there.
Okay.
Maria Guerra, I don't remember that name. I believe Justina Hernandez is there.
Yeah, Justina's on here. Maria, what's your last name, Maria?
Guerra, G?
Alrighty.
Can you add?
Enedina Ortega.
Jose Torres.
Oh, I have 1+ Nord. You're there as 1+ Nord.
And Kimberly Campos, if they're not on there. Oh, I see Kimberly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's right here.
Cool.
All right, I think we could do the next raffle.
Alrighty.
Guys.
Ready?
So this is another $25 gift card. Karina's S21. Are you still here? Karina's S21.
Please unmute yourself.
I don't.
Is it Karina Mazariego or no?
When you joined, did it join? Did it join as Karina's S21?
No, I think she did leave us.
Okay, yeah, I think it might have been another student. Okay, we'll spin again then. Yeah, gotta stick around. I'm just kidding. Thank you, folks, for being here to the end. Edwin, congratulations, Edwin. You're still here with us? Yes, I see you.
Yes.
Nice. If you could please share your email with us in the chat. And for a $50 gift card, this is our grand prize. We have one last
Wow.
raffle.
Drum roll, please.
Leticia, are you still here, Leticia? Yes, perfect. Please share with us your please share with us your email so we can go ahead and perfect. Okay, cool. Yes, please share with us your email.
So thank you once again to Inner City Struggle, to Beatriz, to Ariana, to Christian, and to Daniela for joining us today. Thank you again to Michelle for coordinating this with Inner City Struggle. Again, follow us on our Instagram and at Boyle Heights Costs and also with Inner City Struggle. We will continue to have more of these workshops. So thank you once again for being here, and don't forget to start completing your FAFSA.
Did our first winner drop their email? I don't see.
Was it Adrian?
I believe it was. Adrian,
Yeah.
are you still here? Oh, you got it separately? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's here.
Cool. I'm just adding it in the raffle slide.
If
Yeah,
anyone who's still here, do you have any questions? Maybe we could just put them all in the waiting room.
do we get like a transcript of the chat? Just because I got so many emails, I'm like, oh, okay.